For decades, the world believed it knew the story of Sister Lucia of Fatima, the humble shepherd girl who witnessed one of the most famous Marian apparitions in history. The woman entrusted with secrets so powerful that even popes hesitated to reveal them. But what if the Sister Lucia the world saw after 1958 was not the same woman at all? What if one of the most important religious witnesses of the 20th century was quietly replaced, erased, and rewritten in plain sight? This is not a rumor born on the internet. This is a question raised by doctors, historians, theologians, and even members of the Catholic clergy. A question fueled by photographs, medical records, handwriting analysis, recorded interviews, and a trail of contradictions that grows darker the closer we look. And once you see it, it becomes impossible to unsee. To understand why this theory exists, we must return to the beginning. To Eyjawiti, in Fatima, Portugal, where 3 shepherd children claimed to have seen a radiant lady from heaven. Lucia dos Santos was the oldest of the 3, and the only one who would survive into adulthood. Her cousins, Jacinta and Francisco Marto, would die young, exactly as the apparition allegedly foretold. That alone elevated Lucia's role to something extraordinary. She was no longer just a witness. She became the sole living guardian of the message. As years passed, the Catholic Church realized that everything depended on her memory, her words, her credibility. She entered religious life, first as a Dorothean sister, later as a Carmelite nun. She lived under obedience, silence, and control. And yet, despite these restrictions, the Sister Lucia of the early decades was remarkably consistent. Photographs from the 1920s to the 1940s show a woman with a narrow face, prominent cheekbones, deep-set eyes, a long thin nose, and a slightly asymmetrical jaw. Her gaze is intense, almost severe. Doctors who examined her noted her frail constitution, narrow shoulders, and a voice described as soft but firm. Her handwriting, preserved in letters and notebooks, is small, tight, angular, with sharp pressure on the page. Most importantly, her testimony was uncompromising. She repeatedly insisted that the Third Secret of Fatima contained a warning, not consolation. A vision of catastrophe, apostasy, and internal collapse within the Church. This message disturbed Rome deeply. Then, something happened. In Eyjawiti, Sister Lucia was interviewed by Father Agustin Fuentes, the postulator of the cause of Francisco and Jacinta. During that interview, she delivered statements that shocked even seasoned clergy. She warned that the devil was preparing a decisive battle against the Virgin Mary. She said that priests and religious souls would fall, that entire nations could disappear. And that time was running out. The Vatican reacted immediately. Father Fuentes was silenced. His statements were discredited. He was removed from his position, and after that moment, something even stranger occurred. In Eyjawiti, Sister Lucia vanished from public view. When she reappeared years later, many noticed something deeply unsettling. The woman presented as Sister Lucia no longer looked the same. Her face appeared wider, her cheekbones softer, her nose shorter, her eyes rounder, her jawline fuller. Skeptics dismissed this as aging, but experts were not convinced. Plastic surgeons who later analyzed side-by-side photographs pointed out anatomical differences that cannot be explained by age alone. Bone structure does not change this dramatically. The distance between facial landmarks had shifted. The shape of the orbital sockets appeared altered. Even dental alignment seemed different. Then came the handwriting. Letters attributed to Sister Lucia after 1958 show a completely different script. Larger, rounder, flowing less pressure. Different spacing. Handwriting experts note that while handwriting can evolve, such a radical transformation is statistically rare, without neurological trauma, and there is no record of such trauma. Her voice also changed. Recordings from before 1958 capture a woman with a thin, slightly nasal tone, deliberate in speech. Later recordings show a warmer, fuller voice, with different cadence and pronunciation. Even her Portuguese accent appeared softened. But perhaps the most alarming change was ideological. The Sister Lucia who emerged after 1958, no longer spoke of warning. She spoke of peace. She claimed the third secret was symbolic, already fulfilled, harmless. She reassured the faithful. She aligned perfectly with Vatican messaging. Gone were the apocalyptic tones. Gone were the urgent pleas. When asked directly about Father Fuentes' interview, she denied its meaning. When confronted with her own earlier writings, she minimized them. When questioned about the consecration of Russia, she suddenly declared it had been properly done, contradicting decades of insistence that it had not. This sudden reversal raises a disturbing question. Did Sister Lucia change her mind? Or did someone else take her place? The theory of substitution suggests that the original Sister Lucia either died in the late 1950s or was permanently silenced. In her place, another nun, carefully trained, physically similar but not identical, was presented to the world. This would allow the Vatican to control the narrative of Fatima without the risk of uncontrolled revelations. Critics argue this is impossible, that such a deception could not be maintained. But history tells a different story. Governments have replaced witnesses. Intelligence agencies have created doubles. Religious institutions have hidden truths for centuries. And in this case, the motive would have been immense. The third secret was not merely spiritual. It threatened institutional stability. It challenged authority. It warned of internal corruption. In the context of the Cold War, nuclear anxiety, and growing secularism, such a message could have caused chaos. Supporters of the substitution theory point to another detail rarely discussed: access. After Ijo'uba, Sister Lucia was almost completely inaccessible. Visits were tightly controlled. Interviews were scripted. Photographs were limited. No spontaneous interactions. No unsupervised conversations. A living symbol, carefully managed. Even family members raised concerns. Some relatives reportedly noted differences, but were discouraged from speaking. Clergy who asked questions were reassigned. Silence became the rule. Does this prove replacement? No single piece does. But taken together, the evidence forms a pattern that refuses to disappear. A pattern of suppression, transformation, and control. And here is the most unsettling part. If Sister Lucia was replaced, then the official version of the Fatima message may not be the original message at all. It may be a sanitized echo, a controlled narrative, a rewritten prophecy. Whether one believes this theory or not, its existence reveals something undeniable. There is something about Fatima that still frightens power. Something unresolved. Something unfinished. Because truly harmless truths do not require this level of silence. They do not require faces to change, voices to soften, warnings to vanish. And they do not leave behind questions that grow louder with time. Descrição do vídeo written cal placiou for decades, the Vatican assured the world that the mystery of Fatima was fully revealed. But disturbing evidence suggests otherwise. This documentary explores the controversial theory that Sister Lucia, the sole surviving witness of the Fatima apparitions, was replaced after 1958 through photographic analysis, handwriting comparisons, recorded testimonies, and historical contradictions. We examine one of the most unsettling religious mysteries of the modern era. This is not speculation without foundation. This is a carefully constructed investigation into what changed, when it changed, and why it mattered. If you are interested in hidden history, suppressed truths, and unanswered questions, this story will stay with you long after it ends.